Hey guys, today we're boarding a flight that should have been routine. Just a mom, a daughter, and a seat and coach. But you're about to see what happens when judgment replaces kindness and someone makes a mistake that could cost them everything. Not in a courtroom, not with a press release, but in real time, in front of every passenger on board. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Where are you watching from and what time is it for you right now? Now take a breath, settle in somewhere quiet, and let's ease into today's story together. You arrive at Gate B37 15 minutes before final boarding. Your hand aches from gripping the stroller. Your carry-on strap is digging into your shoulder, and your 4-year-old daughter is half asleep, drooping against your hip like a tired kitten. Her small pink backpack has slipped down her arm, and the laces on one of her sneakers are untied. Again, you don't look wealthy. You look real. No makeup, no assistant trailing behind you, no pristine white suitcase with color-coded packing cubes. Just you, your child, and the heavy air of someone who's used to doing everything without help and still getting side-eyed for not smiling enough. The gate agent scans your ticket. You thank her. You get a stiff nod in return. As you maneuver your way down the jet bridge, the stroller bumps the wall. You wince not because anyone was hurt, but because you already know how this looks. A single black woman, flustered, a little late. To some people, that's all they need to see. You breathe deep and keep walking. The moment you step onto the plane, you see her, the flight attendant, blonde bob, polished lips, sharp posture. She doesn't smile. She narrows her eyes slightly at the stroller, at your carry-on, at your daughter clinging sleepily to your side. "We'll need to move quickly," she says flatly. You know her, trying to shift the stroller aside. Your daughter yawns loudly. "Please don't block the aisle," the attendant adds, this time louder, so the passengers seated nearby can hear. You say nothing. You're used to these moments. They come fast, coded in policy and delivered like commands. You want to explain you're doing your best. You want to say this is the first time your daughter has flown, that she's scared of the engine noise, that your back is killing you. But you say none of it. Because explanations, in your experience, like rarely change anything. You gently lift your daughter into the seat beside the window. 32A. "Coach, back row, last boarding group. It's fine. You chose this flight for the time, not the comfort. You had options, better seats, better perks. But today wasn't about luxury. It was about being present for someone else. A trip that mattered for reasons no one else on this plane could begin to understand. You settle in, buckle your daughter in with practiced care. She's rubbing her eyes now, oblivious to the sharp looks, the muttered remarks. Then it happens. A man in the aisle brushes against your shoulder as he tries to reach the overhead bin. You shift to help him, instinctively reaching to adjust your own carry-on that's sticking out too far. The flight attendant appears instantly. "Ma'am, don't touch that." You glance up, startled. Your fingers are barely grazing the handle. "It's fine. I was just..." Before you finish, she steps forward. And in one sudden, awful motion, she slaps your hand away. Her dunk. Not playful. Not accidental. Sharp enough to make your daughter flinch. Sharp enough that the man next to you mutters, "Whoa." Sharp enough that someone in the next row gasps. The sound is small, but it cuts. The attendant freezes. You freeze. Your daughter begins to cry, softly. You withdraw your hand slowly, staring at the red mark blooming across your knuckles. The attendant blinks, realizing what she's done, but saying nothing. And for a long, pulsing moment, no one moves. You're sitting in 32A, and in 30 seconds, this story will shift the air in the entire cabin. Not because you yell, not because you demand anything, but because you won't explain who you are. Yet, you don't say a word, not yet. You don't ask for a supervisor. You don't scream. You don't even move your hand away like it hurts, though it does. Your daughter is crying softly beside you, face buried in your arm. That's what matters now. The redness on your skin can wait. Your pride can wait. Her peace cannot. You brush a curl out of her face, your fingers gentle, your eyes calm. The flight attendant stands frozen just ahead, her arms stiff at her sides. She knows what she did. She knows everyone saw it, even the ones pretending not to. And you're still quiet. That's what rattles her the most. Not outrage, not chaos, silence. Ma'am, she says finally, voice just above a whisper. I didn't mean. You hold up one hand. Just one. Palm open. Not to stop her, to center yourself. Please. You say, your voice like velvet stretched over steel. Attend to the others. She blinks. It's not what she expected. But she turns and walks up the aisle. Too fast. Her face flushed. You don't watch her go. You reach for your daughter's water bottle. Twist off the cap. Offer it gently. She takes a sip, still sniffling. Are we going home? She asks in a small voice. No, baby, you whisper. We're going to something even better. And you mean that? You lean back, eyes close. Exhale once. Long. Measured. You feel the heat from the slap pulsing faintly in your skin, but it's not what you focus on. You focus on protocol. You reach into the side pocket of your tote and pull out your phone. No one notices. You don't make a show of it. You scroll down your contact, past the ones labeled Legal Air and Security Private, and tap one Logistics, Skyline HQ. It rings once. Then a man answers, low and sharp, ready when you are. Ms. Sterling. You speak calmly. No need for drama. Flight 9203. Passenger manifest confirmed. I need quiet enforcement, not attention. Understood. Activating flag red. You end the call, just like that. Around you, the cabin returns to its usual rhythm. Babies babble. Someone coughs 3 rows back. A soda can hisses open. The moment seems to have passed for everyone, but you. You glance up. See the man who gasps still watching you? He quickly looks away when your eyes meet. You don't blame him. These things make people uncomfortable. They're supposed to. The seatbelt sign chimes. Passengers settle. The captain comes on, cheerfully announcing that departure will be slightly delayed due to routine coordination with the tower. He says it like it's normal. You know better. Flag red means 2 things are now in motion. This flight will not leave the ground until the proper personnel are in place. No one, not the pilot, not the crew, will know why until it's too late to interfere. Your daughter leans against you again. Her body relaxed now, her hand resting in your lap. You kiss the top of her head, and for the first time since the slap, you smile. Not because you enjoy retribution, not because humiliation is your style, but because restoration is. Because this moment of quiet precision is how you were taught to handle disrespect. You don't scream in the aisle. You shift the sky. Somewhere near the cockpit, the flight attendant is laughing nervously with another crew member, pretending that the tension is gone, that what happened was small. She doesn't know, but she's about to. Because the woman she slapped isn't just a mother in 32A, she's the majority shareholder of Skyline Air. And this plane, it's hers. You watch the plane through a mother's eyes, every creak, every hum, every shift of energy. Not as a passenger, not even as the owner, but as someone who knows exactly what discomfort feels like when it's served with a smile and laminated policy. Your daughter dozes now, thumb tucked under her chin, her favorite blanket clutched in one hand. Her breathing slows, and that's your cue. The storm inside you must wait. Her peace is sacred, and right now, you protect that peace at all costs. You glance down the aisle as the captain's voice returns to the intercom. Apologies for the brief delay. We've been asked to hold our pushback due to air traffic congestion. Should be just a few more minutes. It's not air traffic. You know what it is. Flag red doesn't delay a flight unless someone with executive security clearance has stepped in and someone has. You. With one call, you shifted the power dynamic from compliance to consequence. And now the system will move, quietly, for you. You spot movement at the front of the cabin. 2 men board the aircraft, discreetly clean-cut, dressed in corporate polos with no name tags, carrying thin black folders. Their smiles are polite, their eyes razor sharp. The lead attendant steps toward them, clearly confused. Can I help you? Me wa surienda or not? Just a quick crew audit. One of the men says, voice is steady, happens randomly sometimes. She tries to maintain control, but you see her fingers twitching slightly, her stance shifting. She doesn't know yet, but the energy in the plane is changing. Even passengers feel it. They sit up straighter, hush their voices, glance around. Something is happening, but no one knows what. You do, and so do the men who just step past the curtain. They walk down the aisle with measured calm. They're not looking for trouble. They're following a directive. Your directive. You nod slightly when one of them meets your eyes. He continues past without a word. Passengers murmur. The man seated across the aisle from you clears his throat awkwardly. Excuse me, he whispers, leaning in slightly. Do you know what's going on? You glance at him, not unkindly. Yes. He waits for more. You offer none. He leans back. A few rows ahead, the attendant stiffens as the corporate team approaches. The lead man stops in front of her, opens his folder, and quietly points to something on the paper. She nods, then frowns. I'm sorry, I don't understand. Is there an issue? We'll just need you to step off with us for a quick debriefing, he replies. Now we're in the thorn. Yes, and Taman and She looks toward the other crew members, none of whom make eye contact. The pilot appears in the doorway, confusion painted across his face. What's this about, he asks. The corporate man turns calmly. Flight operations protocol? Our team will handle it. The attendant starts to speak again, but stops. Because she sees your face. For the first time, she truly sees it. Recognition is slow, painfully slow. But it hits. Her lips part slightly. Her body goes still. Her eyes widen just enough for you to know. She knows. She steps off the plane in stunned silence. No yelling, no pushing, no spectacle. Just accountability. The doors close behind her. The energy in the cabin is strange now. Uncertain. But the tension is no longer yours to carry. Your daughter stirs, blinking up at you with soft eyes. Mommy, are we flying now? You kiss her forehead. Soon, baby. You glance out the window. The runway waits. The sky waits. And in front of you, a flight crew prepares to push back -1. There are no apologies over the intercom. No speeches, no press releases, but something permanent has shifted. Because someone who thought they had power used it to humiliate and instead found themselves answering to the woman who owned the wings they stood on. The plane finally begins to taxi. There's a noticeable hush throughout the cabin, not the usual restless fidgeting or half-hearted chatter. It's something else now, something closer to reverence, maybe confusion, maybe awe. No one says it out loud, but they all know that wasn't a normal delay. You feel their questions in the way eyes linger a little too long and heads dip when you glance their way. But no one dares speak, not directly, because now they suspect the truth. You're not a regular passenger. You're not just a tired mom and coach. You're the storm behind the stillness. Your daughter leans her head against your arm again. She's drifting, safe, unbothered, the way a child should be. And that, more than anything else, reinforces your choice to stay silent. You didn't humiliate the woman who slapped you. You let her unravel in the presence of the truth she never thought to ask for. The jet picks up speed. Engines thunder. You exhale slowly as the wheels lift off, the cabin tilting into the clouds. The world shrinks beneath you, pulling its noise and ignorance into a smaller frame. You've always loved takeoff, that moment of separation, of transcendence, of knowing you're literally above it all. Today, it feels like more than physics, it feels poetic. Somewhere over the intercom, a new attendant, the one who replaced her, is going through the safety instructions. His voice is clear, respectful, with just the right tone. He's seen the shift. They all have. He offers you bottled water first, and a warm towel. No announcement, no apology wrapped in fake concern. Just respect. Quiet, complete overdue. You nod in thanks. You glance around and spot the man across the aisle again, the same one who asked what was going on earlier. He gives you a quick, respectful nod, not probing this time, not curious, just acknowledging. It's a small gesture, but a good one. As the plane climbs higher, your phone vibrates softly. A secure message from your executive assistant. You open it and scan the content. Incident logged, FAA record updated, personnel file flagged, statement pending your approval. Would you like to proceed with level 2 internal review? You pause. You could escalate it, strip her of more than her uniform, file the full complaint, destroy her career, but you don't reply. Not yet, because this moment was never about vengeance. You put the phone away. You reach down and adjust the edge of your daughter's blanket, tucking it under her elbow. She murmurs something in her sleep, maybe your name, maybe a dream. You smile. Up here, above the clouds, everything is softer, quieter. And the truth is, you could have arrived in this plane like every other executive does, first-class seat, champagne on takeoff, an assistant blocking your schedule, but that's not how you operate. Because you remember what it's like to be seen last, heard last, respected last. You remember grocery stores where no one offered help, school meetings where your title meant less than your hairstyle, rooms that dismissed you before you even opened your mouth. And you swore when you had power, you'd carry it differently. You'd use it like a lantern, not a weapon, which is why you bought into the airline in the first place. Not just for prestige, not just for profit, but because you knew exactly where the flight experience was broken. Not in its engines, but in its attitude. You look out the window. The clouds stretch wide, endless, open. You don't feel like someone who got justice. You feel like someone who reminded the world quietly, gently, that respect is not a perk. It's a baseline. And for once, that lesson landed exactly where it needed to. 32 rows deep. Middle seat. Flight 9203. 35 minutes into the flight, the cabin has returned to normal, at least on the surface. A few soft snores drift from scattered rows. Someone flips through a glossy magazine. A child giggles behind you, kicking the seat in front of her without realizing it. But the stillness around you isn't ordinary. It's intentional. No one nearby makes small talk. No one tests your patience. Not after what they witnessed. It's not fear they feel, it's caution. The kind that follows after a line has been crossed and the rules quietly have changed. Your daughter sleeps peacefully, her tiny hand still wrapped around your finger like an anchor. She has no idea what happened. She didn't see the slap as a power move, a humiliation, or a statement. She saw it as one thing. Someone hurt her mother, and the only reason she's resting now is because you didn't let that moment define the rest of the day. You chose control. You chose silence not as surrender, but as a weapon more powerful than rage. You adjust your seat and glance toward the curtain dividing coach from first class, a place you easily could have sat, but didn't. Not today. You chose to board anonymously. No title, no announcement, no special perks. You did it to stay close to your daughter. You did it because sometimes the best view of how things really work comes from the back of the plane. And you saw enough. You open your phone again, not to scroll, not to read headlines. You open a draft document, a personal file, something you've added to over the years, a running list of field notes from your travels. You add a new line. Flight 9203, flag red, triggered, incident unprovoked assault, response immediate ejection, outcome executed calmly, dignity preserved. Then when after a pause, you type one more line under reflection. Lesson silence is not weakness. It is choice. And choice is the highest form of power. You hit save. From the overhead, the new flight attendant approaches again, this time with a tray. Ms. Sterling, he says quietly, would your daughter like warm cookies when she wakes? And for you, would you prefer lemon or ginger tea? You don't ask how he knows your name. You just nod. Ginger. He smiles, respectful, not nervous, genuine. It'll be right out. As he turns away, you see another passenger down the aisle watching the exchange. A young black woman, maybe early 20s, earbuds out, posture stiff. She's been quiet this whole time, but now she leans slightly into the aisle. You make eye contact. She mouths, "That was you, wasn't it?" You nod once, barely. She doesn't smile. She doesn't clap. She just presses a hand to her chest, then back down. You nod again, because you know what that means. "Thank you. Keep going. I needed to see that." You lean back. The ginger tea arrives with a quiet clink of porcelain. You take the first sip and close your eyes. This flight has already taken you farther than most do. Not in miles. In meaning, you've reminded the sky that not all storms are loud. Some wear soft sweaters and hold sleeping children, and some sit quietly in row 32A, changing everything. Turbulence rolls through the cabin like a passing thought, nothing serious. Just enough to make a few passengers tighten their seatbelts and glance out the window. Like that will change anything. You feel it too, the small jolt, but you don't flinch. Not because you're unshakable, but because you've been through far worse than a little air pocket. The plane steadies again. Your daughter stirs, yawns, and blinks herself awake. She looks around, still bleary-eyed, and then turns to you with a soft, confused whisper. "Did we fly yet?" You smile. "We're in the air, baby." She smiles too, the kind of sleepy grin that only kids can manage. Then, spotting the cookies and tea beside you, she perks up just enough to say, "Is that for me?" You nod, break one of the warm cookies in half and hand it to her. She takes it like it's treasure. Soft," she mumbles. You savor this moment, because for all the power you hold outside this cabin, this is the one that grounds you the most, the ability to create calm in chaos. To offer sweetness even when the world has gone sour. From a few rows ahead, someone coughs and then shifts in their seat, just enough to reveal a tablet tilted toward them. Your name is on the screen. You catch a glimpse of it in a news article headline, "Unconfirmed Skyline Air Executive Involved in Mid-Flight Crew Incident." They're scrolling, reading fast. Their head lifts for a second, eyes darting toward the back. They look away when they meet your gaze. It's begun. You knew it would. Despite the confidentiality protocols, someone in the crew must have leaked what happened. You expected it. In fact, you planned for it, because stories like this have a way of slipping past sealed lips when the truth tastes like exposure. Your daughter finishes her cookie and leans against you again. You stroke her hair. You check your phone. Sure enough, your team has already texted. Media holding off for statement. All staff on NDA. Legal standing by. Decision. You type a response with one hand. Release brief Skyline. Air confirms immediate action taken against crew for passenger misconduct. No further comment at this time. You hit send. You're not trying to make headlines. You're trying to make an example and protect your peace. Just then, the captain comes on the intercom. His voice is slightly different than before. Warmer, more deliberate. "Folks, we'll be beginning our descent shortly. Thanks for your patience during today's minor delay." Minor, you almost laugh. If only they knew how close they came to a major disruption. But that's the thing, you don't break things. You recalibrate them. Quietly, while precisely, and if necessary, publicly. Your daughter shifts again and whispers, "Mommy, can we listen to music now?" You nod, pull out a small pair of headphones, and help her tuck them in. As she starts humming along to whatever cartoon's soundtrack lives rent-free in her head, you glance around again. The young woman who'd mouthed thank you earlier is still watching you less subtly now. Her expression has changed. There's a calm in her eyes, a quiet knowing, like she's witnessing something bigger than a flight, bigger than corporate discipline. She's seeing possibility. She's seeing how power behaves when it doesn't need to prove itself. The plane dips slightly. Outside the window, the world is rising again, rooftops and streets and shadows stretching long across the land. Your phone buzzes one last time. This one is personal. A message from an old mentor, someone who taught you how to walk into rooms that weren't designed for you and own them anyway. Just saw the news and Proud doesn't even begin to cover it. Your silence roared. You smile, because that's all you ever wanted to master. Not how to fight like them, but how to lead like you. And on this day, in this sky, in a back row seat you chose deliberately, you did exactly that. The seatbelt sign dings softly overhead. The cabin stirs. People adjust their tray tables, buckle up, tuck bags back beneath the seats. From the front to the rear, passengers fall in line like clockwork because landing is one of the few things everyone experiences the same. Almost everyone. You glance at your daughter. Her eyes are still closed, but she's awake now, mouthing the words to some song only she can hear. You brush her curls from her forehead. She smiles without opening her eyes. The plane tilts gently, beginning its descent. Through the window, you see city blocks forming beneath scattered clouds. Life, waiting. Reality, ready to resume. But you're not thinking about appointments or inboxes. You're thinking about what this flight means, what it proves. And not just to the attendant who crossed a line, but to the dozen other people who said nothing. The man who watched but didn't speak. The crew who looked away. Even the passengers who clapped when she left because applause, while appreciated, is not accountability. This wasn't about shame. This was about course correction. A new stewardess walks the aisle, giving final instructions with a kind smile. She pauses when she reaches your row and kneels slightly, voice low. Ms. Sterling, just wanted to say thank you. The cabin feels different now. Better. You meet her eyes. There's no fear there, no performance, just honesty. It should have always felt like this, you say. She nods, a little too quickly. Then, quietly, I needed to see that today. You don't reply, not with word, just a single deliberate nod. The kind that says, I know. Me too. She moves on. The wheels thud softly beneath the plane, landing gear out. The cabin leans forward in unison, a low murmur of shifting bodies. You reach for your daughter's hand, and she squeezes yours without prompting. She's not scared. She knows what safety feels like. The runway appears. Closer. Closer. Contact. The wheels kiss the ground with a softness that surprises you. A gentle touchdown. The cabin claps, not the rowdy applause of survival, but the relieved rhythm of return. The plane slows. Your daughter opens her eyes fully and sits up. We're here. We're home. You answer. Even though technically, you're still a city away. But home isn't about location. It's about being back in control. The intercom hums again. Welcome to City Name. On behalf of Skyline Air, we'd like to thank you for flying with us today. We hope you enjoyed your flight. You almost laugh, not at the message. At the word enjoyed. You didn't enjoy this flight. You transformed it. As the plane pulls into the gate, the usual rush begins. Seatbelts click open. Overhead bins swing down. Passengers jostle for position, but not near you. Near you. People give space, out of respect, out of awareness. The man across the aisle speaks again, voice low. I didn't know who you were. You turn slightly. You didn't need to. I've never seen anyone handle it like that. That's the problem, Yona. You say gently. You should have. He nods, slow, thoughtful. The seatbelt sign goes off. The doors open. As you stand, a flight marshal appears near the front. Someone you recognize from your own security team. Just in case. He doesn't approach, just watches, giving you the room to move freely. Quiet coverage. You lift your daughter into your arms. She rests her head on your shoulder without question. You walk up the aisle slowly, deliberately. Row after row. People watch you pass. They don't say much, but you feel their eyes. And for once, those eyes don't weigh you down. They lift, Yaida Sururiman, because this isn't a walk of shame. It's a procession of presence. A reminder to everyone aboard that grace and authority are not opposites. That you can walk softly and still shake the floor beneath you. At the front of the plane, the new attendant opens the door. Have a wonderful rest of your day, Miss E. Sterling. You pause. Make sure the next mother who boards doesn't have to be me. to be treated with dignity. She nods, slowly, like she'll carry that with her. You step into the jet bridge, your daughter's arms around your neck, your heart beating steady. You didn't need the cockpit. You didn't need a press release. You just needed them to see. And now they have. The jet bridge is quiet. You take your time walking through it, the familiar echo of rolling suitcases and rubber soles behind you. But no one rushes past. No one bumps your shoulder. No one dares to interrupt the moment unfolding in your silence. At the end of the bridge, two people stand waiting. Not paparazzi, not press. Just your team. Your executive assistant Miles is there, tablet in hand, crisp suit untouched by the chaos of travel. Next to him stands your head of operations, Dana, eyes scanning every face, disembarking like she's tracking data points in real time. Both of them step forward when they see you. Everything is handled, Miles says quietly. HR has already frozen the crew file. Media is still speculating, and your daughter's car seat is in the SUV. You nod. Dana steps closer. Do you want to speak to anyone? No. You shift your daughter in your arm. She's still drowsy, mumbling something about pancakes. I want this moment to belong to her. You add softly, not headlines. Dana nods. You walk together through the terminal, past shops selling overpriced souvenirs and travelers rushing to connecting flights. The world continues like nothing happened. And that's the lesson. What changes the world is rarely loud. It's not always in the headlines. It's in the small decisions, in choosing how to respond when you have every reason to explode. You pass a TV mounted above a newsstand. The headline scrolling across the bottom of the screen reads, Skyline executive allegedly involved in mid-flight altercation, sources say no comment issued. You smile slightly. That's right. Let them guess. Let them wrestle with the absence of your voice while you write your story on your own terms. Outside, the car is waiting. The chauffeur opens the door. You strap your daughter in, her eyes fluttering. Dana and Miles exchange one last glance. You sure you don't want to release the internal memo? Donna asks. You shake your head. No, let the silence speak for itself. You settle into the back seat, the leather cool against your skin. The door closes with a muted click. And for the first time today, you exhale fully. Your phone buzzes again, this time with a different tone. It's your private inbox, a message flagged as high importance. From the CEO of Skyline Group. You open it, heard what happened, already reviewed the footage. You handled it with integrity. We're reevaluating training protocol across all divisions. If you're ready to go public, we'll follow your lead. You read it once, then again. And then you do something you rarely allow yourself to do in business. You pause. You don't respond. Not yet. Because this moment isn't about policy. It's not about systems or structures or statements. It's about a little girl in the back seat beside you, humming softly as she stares at the clouds overhead. It's about what she saw, what she'll remember. You reach across and hold her hand. Was that lady mean to you? She asked suddenly. You blink, surprised. She hadn't said a word about it until now. She was, you reply gently, but it's over now. Did she say sorry? You pause. Not with words, but she'll remember it. Your daughter nods slowly, considering this. Good, she says simply. You both sit in silence for a few more seconds. Then she smiles. Next time, I'll say something. You turn, eyebrows raised. You will us. Yeah, I'm your daughter. You laugh, a deep, honest, soul-cracking laugh. And in that moment, you realize something. The most powerful outcome of today isn't who got escorted off a plane. It's who stayed on it. With grace, with quiet, with legacy, the city glides past the tinted windows buildings, signs, intersections blurring into motion. You're not paying attention to the route. You've taken it dozens of times. Today, it feels different. Not because the streets changed, but because you did. Your daughter is now fully awake, eating crackers from the pouch you always carry for her. Her voice hums along to a song only she seems to know. The back seat becomes her sanctuary again, untouched by the storm she almost witnessed. Your phone vibrates. Another message. This one from a friend you rarely hear from, someone in your world of boardrooms. Investor dinners, sharp suits, and sharper smiles. Saw the incident. If it were me, I would have sued. You're far too calm. You stare at it for a beat, then you smile. I didn't want a scene. I wanted a standard. You don't need to destroy people to make change. You just need to interrupt the assumption that they can act without consequence. You reply simply, then lock your screen, because some conversations deserve to stay internal. The SUV slows as it turns onto the private drive of your estate gates, opening without delay. Security acknowledging the car with a respectful nod. Nothing new, nothing unusual. Just another day returning home from another trip. Except this time, everything's different. Donna exits the front passenger seat as the car stops. She opens the door for your daughter, who bounces out happily, cookie still in hand. You two rest. We'll manage the media from here. Dana says, no footage leaks, you ask. None. You were right. All eyes were on you, but none of them dared raise a phone. It was respect. That lands softly. Good, you reply. Let's keep it that way. You walk your daughter through the front door, the marble foyer echoing lightly beneath your shoes. The housekeeper waves politely. Everything is in place, clean, curated, and yet you pause. You walk past the living room, past the hallway filled with family photos, birthdays, holidays, graduation day, and stop at the one photo you always glance at, but rarely linger on. Your grandmother, a woman with worn hands and steel in her spine, a woman who once cleaned planes, who once stood on tarmacs, not run companies, who once told you, when they can't see your crown, walk like it's too heavy for them to carry. You whisper now, as if she can hear you. I walked like you taught me. Your daughter pulls on your hand. Can we go to the garden? Of course, you smile. She skips ahead. And as you follow, you realize this truth. You didn't just change the course of a flight. You changed the memory of what your child will believe power looks like. Not rage, not revenge, but restraint with roots. Outside, and the garden hums with bees and wind and soft sunlight. She runs ahead, chasing a butterfly, laughing in a way only children do with her whole body. You sit on the bench beneath the oak tree. You open your notebook, not your phone, not your tablet, a real notebook. And you write down one sentence. Power doesn't require presence to be felt. It just needs direction. You close the book. Let the moment linger. Because today, your daughter learned what it means to be a Sterling, and the world. The world will catch up in time. It's quiet in the garden. The kind of quiet that feels deliberate, like the world is taking a breath for you. Not just with you. The sun dapples through the leaves, casting soft shadows over the bench, over your notebook, over your thoughts. Your daughter dances barefoot in the grass, still in her travel clothes, her joy unbothered by the weight of the morning. She twirls, arms outstretched, like nothing could ever touch her. And maybe that's the real success of today. You didn't just protect her body. You protected her spirit. You close your notebook gently. The words inside are still fresh, still warm. You'll share them someday, maybe with the board, maybe in a book, maybe not at all. But for now, they're for you. Inside the house, your phone buzzes again. You let it ring. For the first time in days, maybe weeks. You don't feel compelled to answer right away, because urgency isn't always the same as importance. And you decide the difference. Eventually, you head inside. Your daughter trails behind, carrying a flower she picked without asking. You don't scold her. You just smile. The house smells like rosemary and lemon. Your housekeeper must have baked something. The scent wraps around the room like a soft promise you're home. Your phone waits on the kitchen counter. 3 messages, one from Donna, one from your legal team, one from someone unexpected, Avi Ralston, CEO of the second largest airline in the country. You open his first, what you did today was masterful. If you're ever looking to sit on a board that listens better, my door's open. You laugh because the irony isn't lost on you. You didn't say a word publicly. You didn't release a video. You didn't give an interview. And still, they heard you. You reply with a single sentence. Sometimes the loudest voice is the one that doesn't need to raise itself. You move to the next message. Legal has prepped a full incident file, photos, timestamps, crew statements, pending internal memos, everything tied up, delivered with corporate efficiency. You respond with one note. No press release, no follow-up. Mark it handled and sealed, because this wasn't about headlines. This was about boundaries. You opened Dana's message last time. CNN's asking for a quote. Morning shows too. People are calling you the quiet billionaire. Want me to push back? You pause. You walk to the kitchen window, watching your daughter now curled up on the patio chair, head against a pillow she dragged from inside. The flower is still in her hand. The quiet billionaire. The nickname doesn't offend you. If anything, it reveals the flaw in their thinking that money speaks loudest when it shouts. But your money doesn't speak. You do, and only when necessary. You type your reply. No interviews, no comments, but let them say what they want. Let them know the skies aren't owned by noise, they're ruled by grace. You set the phone down again, and in that stillness, in that calm, you feel untouchable, not because you're protected by wealth or fame or position, but because you're grounded in something rarer, self-control, decency, legacy. And today, Legacy wore sneakers, carried a stuffed bunny, and asked if she could have a cookie at 30,000 feet. You gave her one, and the world watched. But they didn't see a billionaire. They saw something far more dangerous. A woman who didn't need to explain her worth. And those stories, they never need to trend. They just need to echo. It's early evening now. The kind of time when the light softens, the day exhales, and everything begins to quiet down, not because it has to, but because it knows how. Your home hums gently with that peace, with the earned stillness that follows a storm handled with intention. You're in your study now, not working, not reading, just being. The fire crackles even though it's not quite cold. A candle burns low on the side table, its scent faint and expensive lavender. Maybe you sink into the leather chair with your legs tucked beneath you, a mug of herbal tea warming your hand. Your daughter asleep upstairs in her room, safe and unaware that the world tried and failed to diminish her mother today. You tap your phone once, just once. Notifications bloom. The story is everywhere now. And still, not a single word from you. There are speculation threads, think pieces, TikTok videos, and even a hashtag Dosher30 to a queen. It started with a passenger's anonymous tweet. She didn't yell, didn't scream, just stared down a slap and owned the sky. It's spreading, but you don't engage, you don't comment, you don't repost, you sit to her, and you remember something your mother used to say when the world was unfair and loud. Let them talk. That's their story. You walk in the one you built, and you've built yours brick by brick. No shortcuts, no compromises. Every dollar earned, every silence chosen, every battle picked, not stumbled into. Your study walls hold reminders of it all. Photos of your first office above a dry cleaner, the letter denying you your first business loan, the signed contract you negotiated for your airline buy-in, and there, in a simple black frame, your grandmother's final handwritten note. They won't see you coming. That's the point. Your phone vibrates again. You almost don't check, but something makes you glance. It's a message request from someone you don't know, a flight attendant, not from today's crew. Her profile shows she's young, new to the industry. She writes, "I wasn't on your flight, but I watched, and I just wanted to say thank you. I didn't know we could carry ourselves like that and still be heard. I didn't know quiet could be so loud. I'm going to train differently. Be different. Because of you." You read it twice, not because it surprises you, because it affirms something you've always believed. Power doesn't echo just in boardrooms or bank accounts. It echoes in the people who watch you when you don't know they're watching. You don't reply. Not yet. You just smile, sip your tea, and let her message rest there unread by the world, but seen by the only person who needed to see it. You close your eyes. Today, you taught a lesson that can't be taught in a manual or enforced by a badge. You taught it by standing still, by not defending yourself with noise, by letting truth sit in the space where anger could have been. And now the world knows, even when you choose the last row, even when you don't speak first, even when they slap your hand and your dignity, you still own the plane. And more importantly, you own yourself. The next morning arrives quietly. No sirens, no headlines shouted through your windows. No urgent knocks on your door. Just the early chirping of birds and the soft creak of sunlight slipping past the curtains. Your home spacious, understated, timeless feels like exactly what it is. A sanctuary built by your choices, your labor, your grace. You wake before your daughter, as always. You stretch, sip water, and slip into your soft robe. The one your daughter picked out on her 4th birthday because it was, in her words, Princess Soft. You wear it often, not because of luxury, but because it reminds you what really matters. Downstairs, the kitchen is quiet. The staff knows your rhythm. A fresh pot of tea waits beside a neatly folded morning report. But today you bypass the printouts. Instead, you step out onto the veranda with your mug, barefoot against the cool stone, and let the morning air settle around you. Then you check your phone. It's all there. CNN, BBC, Forbes, Vogue, they all want the story. Not the one they've crafted, yours. But your inbox stays untouched because you don't owe anyone a narrative. You already wrote it in posture, in silence, in action. Still, you skim the top trending headline. She didn't raise her voice, she raised the bar. You don't flinch. You don't grin. You just breathe. And then you open the message waiting at the top of your notifications. It's not from media, not from board members or CEOs. It's from the woman, the flight attendant. Her full name is in the subject line, though you didn't recognize it before. She wrote 3 short paragraphs. No justification, no PR-approved phrasing. Just this, I made an unforgivable mistake. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm asking for a chance to change. I was trained to move fast, stay firm, enforce rules, but I wasn't trained to see people. Watching you sit through my worst moment with more dignity than I've shown in my best shook me. And at the end, I hope my daughter meets someone like you before she meets someone like I was. You read it slowly, all of it. And for the first time since the flight, you feel something you didn't expect. Release E. Not because she deserves it, but because you do. You forward the message to Dana with a single note. Log this privately. Mark her for future training roles if she earns it. Because punishment is easy, but growth, that's the rare path. And if she walks it, she'll have to start the same way you did. Silently, deliberately, with the weight of her own actions in both hands. Your daughter bursts onto the veranda minutes later, holding her shoes in one hand and a half-eaten banana in the other. Are we going on another plane today, she asks. Hopeful? You crouch down. No, not today. But next time, can we sit in the front? You smile. We can sit wherever we want. And you mean it, because where you sit has never determined your worth. And now, she knows that too. Later that day, you're back in the city just for a few hours. No cameras, no entourage, just a tailored gray coat, low heels, and the kind of quiet presence that turns heads without trying to. You walk through the executive entrance of the Skyline headquarters. Your steps measured, eyes focused. The receptionist straightens up as soon as she sees you. Not because she's afraid, but because she's learned something that's beginning to ripple across the company. You watch everything. And when the time comes, you act. Good morning, Ms. Sterling, she said. The boardroom is ready. You nod once. Inside the elevator, it's just you and your reflection. And for a moment, you study it, not the outfit, not the posture, but the eyes. You look resolved, not angry, not vindicated, just ready. Upstairs, the board is gathered. Clean suits, discreet watches, tablets glowing with notes. They've all seen the footage. They've read the passenger accounts. They know what happened. But they don't know what you'll say. You sit at the head of the table without preamble. No introduction, no slide deck. You let the silence speak. Then you begin. I'm not here to relive what happened. They shift slightly. I'm here because what happened was never supposed to happen on our planes. You don't raise your voice. You never do. We spend billions on aircraft, millions on safety protocols, but not enough on human decency. You let that sit. You pull out your phone and place it on the table. This company's value isn't in its routes or real estate. It's in trust. Trust that when a mother boards a flight, she won't have to explain her dignity. A few nods. One man clears his throat. You continue. Effective immediately. We are restructuring crew training from the ground up. Not just compliance, but character, emotional intelligence, bias awareness, reflex control, and above all, humility. You look at each of them because respect shouldn't be reserved for the wealthy, the white, or the well-dressed. There's no debate. There's just stillness. Then Dana, seated 2 chairs down, speaks. Full support. We've already begun drafting the new framework. You nod. Good. I want names. I want feedback from passengers. And I want silence to never be mistaken for weakness again. You rise. We don't fix this to avoid PR fallout. We fix this because we owe it to the next kid in row 32A. And with that, you leave the room. You don't stay to hear applause. You don't wait for approval because you didn't come to be admired. You came to make sure that no one else has to carry the weight of their identity as baggage. Outside, Dana catches up. You were flawless. I was prepared. You reply simply, that's all. She smiles. We needed this. The world does. As the car door opens and you settle back into the seat, you realize something you hadn't named until now. Today wasn't about changing an airline. It was about changing altitude. And you just took the entire industry a few thousand feet higher. The drive home winds through the same streets as always. But they feel different now. It's not the city that changed. It's the air around you. The silence in the car isn't empty. It's earned. You scroll briefly through your inbox. Dozens of unread messages stacking like bricks, some supportive, some shocked, some skeptical. But one stands out. Not because of who sent it, but because of who didn't. It's from a woman named Nadia Owens, someone you've never met, a name you don't recognize. She writes, I was on that flight. I was in 14C. I didn't speak up when I should have. I told myself I didn't see it clearly. But I did. I saw everything. I watched you sit through it, endure it, respond to it. And now, I'm realizing what I could have done. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Not because you need my apology, but because I need to offer it. I've already enrolled in a bystander intervention workshop. My daughter was with me. She asked why I stayed quiet, and I didn't have a good answer. Now I will. You stare at her message for a long time, not because it's rare, but because it's honest. You forward it to your internal HR team with a note. Add to anonymous training library. Title it, Courage Grows Late, 2. Because not every hero acts in the moment. Some rise afterwards scarred, but rising nonetheless. As the car turns down your drive, the house comes into view again. Your home, your haven. The garden still damp from morning dew. The swaying gently in the breeze. And at the window, your daughter's face peeking out with a grin that melts your composure all over again. She meets you at the door barefoot, a book in one hand and a juice box in the other. You're home. I always come home, you whisper, scooping her up. She wraps her arms around your neck, and for a moment, everything is still again. Inside, as the evening settles, you sit by the window with her. She shows you a drawing she made crayon on printer paper. It's a picture of an airplane, 2 stick figures near the back, one bigger, one small, both smiling. At the top, in the thick purple scribbles, she wrote, "Me and Mommy on a cloud." You stare at it, heart cracked wide open, because that's what she remembers. Not the slap, not the stares, not the weight of being disregarded. She remembers the cloud, the climb, the warmth, the peace. You lean down and whisper into her hair. You're going to be the kind of girl who flies the plane. You know that. She pulls back and looks up. I don't want to fly it. You raise an eyebrow. No, Ira. She shakes her head. I want to build it. And just like that, your throat tightens. Because in a single sentence, she told you that what you did today, how you carried yourself, how you held your power, it didn't just protect her. It expanded her. You kiss her forehead. She runs off, back to her drawings, back to her childhood. And you remain seated for a long time, not scrolling, not planning, not building empires, just breathing in the rare stillness of knowing you did what needed to be done. And now, the world has to catch up to the altitude you quietly set. Night falls. The house is quiet again. The kind of quiet that comes only when a child is safely asleep, when the last lamp is dimmed, and when the woman who carried the weight of a nation's attention finally lays her armor down for the day. You sit in your bedroom, a glass of water beside you, a journal open in your lap, no assistants, no advisors, no screen between you and your thoughts, just pages and peace. You've kept journals since you were 14 when the world first showed you what it meant to be underestimated. Back then, your handwriting was tighter, the ink darker, the words sharper. Today, your script is calm, even rooted. When you write at flight 9203 row 32A, not the seat they gave me, not the seat I paid for, the seat I chose, because power doesn't need position, it needs presence, and mine was undeniable. You pause, let the weight of the truth rest. Then you continue. Be one, I know. I could have screamed. I could have snapped. I could have shamed her on camera and gone viral by choice. Not chance, but instead, I did something harder. I taught with restraint. I led without lifting a finger. And the lesson was louder than any microphone could carry. You set the pen down. Lean back. Exhale. Then your phone lights up with a final message from a name that surprises you. Your father. You haven't heard from him in a long time, not out of anger, but out of distance, out of old wounds that never fully closed, only learned to stop bleeding. He writes, "You reminded me of your mother today. She used to say dignity isn't soft, it's steel dressed in grace. I saw both in you. I may not have told you enough, but I'm proud of what you've become and how you stayed yourself." You read it twice, then once more, then close your eyes. Because of all the responses, all the trending hashtags, all the praise, all the silence broken across the industry, this is the one that lands like a key in an old lock. You type back just 5 words. I stayed whole, like her. And with that, you tuck the phone away. The fire dies low, the room cools, the stars press against the window like curious witnesses. Your eyes will cross the room and check on your daughter one last time. She's curled up in her blankets, clutching her stuffed bunny like it holds the whole world together. You whisper, "One day, War, you'll face something hard. And when that day comes, you'll remember how I handled mine." She doesn't stir, but maybe deep in her dreaming heart, she already knows. You step back into your room, turn out the last light, and climb into bed. The world may wake tomorrow with more headlines, more spins, more noise. But you'll wake with something stronger. Not victory, not revenge, not even justice, but legacy, written in quiet, carried in posture, passed from mother to daughter, like a crown no one sees but everyone feels.